All right, here we go, Dolphins fans. We're that much closer to game day against the Chargers. I cannot wait. I'm your host of Dolphins Today, Jake Riepma. So glad to have you along for another episode of Dolphins Today. We're talking a little bit of Dolphins injury notes and things to get you ready for that game on Sunday against the Chargers. But I can't wait, baby. I feel like I'm ready to go right now. I'm ready to run through the brick wall. But we got to bring it down a little bit because the big game is on Sunday, and we're having a watch party. I want everyone to come out and join the watch party for the Miami Dolphins. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're doing it all on Sunday. We've got a little pregame action going. We'll get you set for kickoff, play-by-play, analysis. We're just going to have a party. That's what it's all about on Dolphins Today. Every Sunday game day, you want to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing. And it all starts in week 1, baby, against the Chargers. And that's when we've got our first watch party. So come early, get loud, represent Miami like I know you will. I'll be there. It'll be my first watch party, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's in store for me. I've been told Dolphins watch parties are unlike anything else on this channel. So looking forward to that for all of Chat Sports for that matter, and it's going to be a blast. So don't miss the watch party on Sunday when the Chargers get set to take on the Dolphins. Can't wait. Fins up, baby. Fins up. 4 p.m. Eastern time. That's when it's all going to get going, and it's going to be a blast. But like I said, we're not quite at game time yet. We got to work our way up there. So let's talk a little injury news and notes from earlier today. We got to start with Terron Armstead. Such a big story. We know how crucial he is to the success of the Miami Dolphins, and he hasn't practiced yet this week. But there's been times where Terron Armstead didn't practice at all during the week, but still played on Sunday. And we know he suffered that injury in the joint practice with the Houston Texans back in August. So since then, Terron Armstead's on the record in saying it is his goal to play all 17 games this season. It's something he has never done in his NFL career. And he said earlier, this is back in August, I'm going to do everything I can to make it a reality. I'm here to play. That was in reference to playing all 17 games. So that's great that that's the hope, but it just hasn't been the reality yet. And maybe that changes. I'm hopeful. I know you're hopeful that that changes beginning in week 1 if he's able to play. And it's important to note Terron Armstead's impact. It cannot be understated how important he is to the success of this Miami Dolphins offense. In fact, in games in which Terron Armstead played last year, his pressure rate was just at 3.4%. That was the 4th best across the entire NFL last year. So this is one of the most elite left tackles in all of football. So of course, he needs to be out on the field for Miami. And when you combine the fact that the offensive line as a position group for the Dolphins is where Miami lacks depth. So if Armstead's not in there, last year was evidence. All other Dolphins left tackles, their pressure rate was nearly 4 times as much as when Terron Armstead was in there. So that's a guy you need to have in the lineup. But again, unfortunately, it just hasn't really been a reality for Terron Armstead to be that everyday dependable guy. And that's not a knock on him. He plays a position left tackle anywhere on the offensive line for that matter. We know it's a violent game. It's a car accident on every play. But taking a look back to 2022, Armstead missed 4 games. The year before that with the Saints, 9 games. A little bit better in 2020, missing just the 2 games, and then only the 1 game in 2019. But before that, 6 games he missed all the way back in 2018. So, point being, Armstead is crucial to the success of the Miami Dolphins on the offensive end. But if he can't go, it becomes a reality. Who do you want to fill that void at the left tackle position? It'll likely be Kendall Lamb. We talked about it earlier this week that Liam Eichenberg is going to start at left guard. Connor Williams is your center. Robert Hunt over there at right guard, and Austin Jackson at the right tackle. I hate to harp on the offensive line, and it feels like they're kind of the scapegoat to a lot of Miami's offensive problems when they had problems last year in 2022. It was because of the offensive line. Keep Tua clean and upright. That's the job. And, of course, Terron Armstead is paramount in that effort. So, As we always do, I got to ask you your opinion on this. Be real with me on this. If Terron Armstead can't go, and that's the reality of the situation, what is your confidence level without Terron Armstead? What's your confidence level in this offensive line? Rate it for me in the comments on a scale of 1 to 10. It's our pinned comment today, so if YouTube hits you with that ad break, don't panic. In fact, just make your way down to the comments and let me know. Scale of 1 to 10, what's your confidence level in this Miami offensive line without Terron Armstead? All right, more injury news to get to, and I come with a little bit better news this time around because Jaylen Waddle, we know he's also crucial to the success of the Miami Dolphins, especially from a playmaking perspective. And while he had that abdominal injury in preseason, he wasn't a full participant in practice until today. That's right. Music to our ears, right? Let's just clap that one up. I love it. Jaylen Waddle, a full participant Thursday, and that means, of course, if he's practicing as a full participant on Thursday, very likely that he'll play against the Chargers with reference to that oblique injury. Jaylen Waddle, it is worth repeating, one of the most explosive wide receivers in the National Football League, and it's just such a complementary weapon for Tua and helps that offense go for the Miami Dolphins. 1,356 yards receiving in 2022. That was 7th best in the NFL, and that's really impressive. But now, when you think the damage he did with those receptions, he was one of the most explosive receivers in the league. 18.1 average, which was number 1 in the NFL. That's yards per catch in 2022. So when he was making receptions, he was as lethal as they get in the National Football League. And if you even condense that to the last 4 weeks of the NFL season, he had 15.3 yards per target. That's per target. And again, that was the best in the National Football League over those 4 weeks. So Jaylen Waddle, a guy that's also paramount to the success of this Dolphins offense, because if Tua's got time to pass with solid offensive line play, you know what Tyreek Hill can do, and there's so many weapons that this Dolphins offense has. There's not much a defense can do. You can't stop everybody. So the fact that Waddle's healthy, full participant, and ready to go in week 1. Again, music to our ears. Let's just sound the praises of Jaylen Waddle because, man, that guy can play. He's explosive and is a huge component to the success of the Miami Dolphins. So a couple more players that did not practice on Thursday. We talked about Terron Armstead. Elijah Campbell, defensive back for the Dolphins, also did not practice. And he's a little bit buried on the depth chart, so that's not one that you necessarily need to lose sleep over per se for him not being a full participant in practice on Thursday. But it is noteworthy. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio talked about his secondary specifically as a position group where just about everybody's going to play. So the fact that you've got a guy on the injured or that was not a full participant in practice on Thursday is kind of noteworthy because it'll be interesting to see how Vic Fangio, first game as a defensive coordinator for the Dolphins, how he utilizes those chess pieces in the secondary. And if he's without one, that certainly alters the game plan. So let's look at that Dolphins defensive depth chart right now. Xavier Howard is going to start at one cornerback position. He's a team captain. Kader Kohou, potential breakout year in year 2 for Kader on the other side at the cornerback position. And Javon Holland, Brandon Jones, your 2 starting safety. Deshaun Elliott, you think would be the first guy into the mix at the defensive back position in that safety spot. Verone McKinley, also capable of playing a solid safety for the Dolphins. We'll see if we see rookie Cam Smith. Eli Apple, I think, is your cornerback number 3, but Cam Smith, the rookie, certainly with a lot to prove as well. A couple more that were limited in practice on Thursday. Justin Bethel, also a cornerback, and again, he's a little bit more buried in the depth chart. I'd even expect to see Kelvin Joseph before you saw Justin Bethel, just based on availability and the fact that, again, he is buried in the depth chart, and if he was limited in practice on Thursday, I don't know if he's necessarily one of those first go-to guys for Vic Fangio on the defensive side of things. Flip it over to offense. Julian Hill, limited in practice on Thursday, and he's pretty much your tight end 3 at this point, so not necessarily a guy that's going to take a ton of reps either way. But, again, it's worth pointing out if Julian Hill is on that injury report being limited in practice. So let's flip it over to good news. Again, we've got some good news. Here are your full practice participants from Thursday. Salvon Ahmed, the running back, Achane, also good to go. And again, that's part of that 3-headed weapon on running back for the Miami Dolphins with, of course, Raheem Mostert, Salvon Ahmed, and Achane. Raekwon Davis, defensive tackle, was good to go. Liam Eichenberg getting that start at the left guard position. And, he's a guy that the microscope's going to be on him because the offensive line already lacking depth. You want to see Eichenberg succeed. Brandon Jones, full practice. Connor Williams at the center position. And we already talked about Waddle and what he brings from the wide receiver position. He was a little bit limited Wednesday, but a full participant Thursday, and he is good to go. So, Dolphins today. Want daily Dolphins context? Need you to subscribe. You don't want to miss a thing, whether it be breaking news, whether it be the watch parties like we got going this Sunday, baby, the watch parties, and anything else as it relates to the Miami Dolphins, Chat Sports, Dolphins Today. Subscribe now. I told you guys earlier this week, everyone's just been calling me new guy, and we reached the subscription goal for that video, but I'm still getting new guy, So if you could help me out, smash that sub button, and maybe they'll start calling me by my name around here at Chat Sports. But hey, we got some good news too. This show is filled with plenty of good news because you know what? Long snappers are people too. It's that position that you only notice the long snapper when they screw up. You know why you don't notice Blake Ferguson for the Dolphins? Because he never screws up. He is Mr. Reliable, and the Dolphins realized his value to this team, so they went ahead and extended him through 2026, which is good because, again, you don't need a long snapper till you need them. They're like insurance. You don't need it till you need it, and Blake Ferguson provides that steady Mr. Consistent from the long snapper position. So cheers to our guy, Blake Ferguson. Go ahead and show him some love in the comments. Type 44 for his contract extension. It's important to have a long snapper. They're people too. Kickers are people. Punters are people. The long snappers are people. Type 44 in the comments. Show Blake Ferguson a little bit of love for his new contract extension. And while we got the good news going, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this. We've got a graphic for you right here. How about this on NFL on CBS? Our good buddy Phil Simms. You might have to adjust your monitor a little bit, but zoom in there on the top left. Take a look at who Phil Simms has got playing in the Super Bowl out of the AFC. That's right, baby. It's the Miami Dolphins. You know what? I've always thought Phil Simms was one of the best analysts on NFL on CBS. That's a guy that knows his stuff. So, Phil, you're a smart man. I happen to agree with you. I think the Dolphins are going to make the Super Bowl. They're plenty talented enough. They got the offense to do so. They, as a team, have one of the most dangerous rosters, and it really, in a lot of ways, stacked from top to bottom. So, Phil Simms says the Dolphins are going to make the Super Bowl. Here's why I think Phil Simms is a smart man. We talked about the high-powered offense, right? Tua Tagovailoa, when clean and upright and healthy, is a guy that can distribute the ball all around the yard, get it to his weapons, get it to Tyreek Hill, get it to Jaylen Waddle, and the running back room. Plenty talented enough for this to be a high-powered offense with Frank Smith as the offensive coordinator. Also, I love this coaching staff for the Miami Dolphins. Mike McDaniel in year 2, you take what he learned in year 1 and then just the confidence to take that step forward in year 2. We talk about that all the time with the football team. The most improvement that you make from week 1 to week 2. How about great coaching improving from year 1 to year 2? I think Mike McDaniel is a guy that's going to solidify himself as a premier head coach for years to come in this league. And don't forget, the coordinating staff is solid as well. Vic Fangio, he's a defensive genius. It'll be interesting to see him put the pieces to work in year number 1 as the defensive coordinator, and Frank Smith leading the offense as well. So I feel great about the coaching staff for the Miami Dolphins. And last but certainly not least, it's similar to the high-powered offense, but this isn't just a high-powered offense with weapons. This is an offense that has playmakers resulting in game changers. Tyreek Hill, anytime he has the ball, has the ability to change a game. Jaylen Waddle, also in that category. The Miami Dolphins, folks, are never out of a game. Think about that comeback they had last year against Baltimore. That's because they are never out of it. The Miami Dolphins are a team that can put up points in a hurry, and when you have the ability to be a quick strike offense, you're never out of games. So that is a big reason why I think Phil Simms is brilliant with his prediction for the Dolphins to reach the Super Bowl. How about you? Do you believe? How about it? Type Y for yes in the comments or N for no. Will the Dolphins reach Super Bowl 58? And this is when it's way too early, but you know what? I don't care. It's time to type Y for yes if you think the Dolphins can make the Super Bowl. If I see any N's in those comments, I'm coming after you. I'm coming after you because it is time to believe in what this Dolphins team can do, and it all starts on Sunday. We've got a watch party, so give us a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, join us for the watch party. The Miami Dolphins against the LA Chargers. I'll be there. I hope you'll be there too, but until then, look forward to continuing to bring you Dolphins coverage each and every day here on Dolphins Today by Chat Sports.